Hey everybody, I just finished a very general video about how to and why you should use virtual assistants for your law firm. Today we're going to get into how to train your virtual assistants for success. Before I get into that, make sure to hit that subscribe button, follow along. My name is Ethen Ostroff. I'm the owner of Turnkey Ops, a virtual assistant staffing company for law firms. What I'm about to get into is how to successfully train your VAs so that VAs eventually train VAs. It depends on the size of your firm. Most firms, if they have over 100 cases, would be in sort of that middle territory. If you have under 100 cases, then you're in that small territory. Now, I'm going to get into why that's important pretty soon. If you're in 100 to 300 cases, you're in the middle territory. If you're 300 plus, you're looking in the large territory. And it really does depend on the amount of cases. That depends more than the amount of staff you have is the amount of cases you have with what I'm about to describe to you. If you are in that small firm range, then what you want to think about is this virtual assistant able to be able to learn more than one task? Because realistically, you don't have enough volume to build out a full medical record department or a full intake department quite yet. If you do, great. But my suggestion for you on how you train your VAs for success is first, hire for specific tasks. If you're hiring an intaker, that's very different than hiring a medical records retrieval person. You have a lot more on the line when you have $1 million client on the phone than you do when you're just getting a set of medical records. I'm not saying that getting medical records is unimportant, because it's extremely important to your cases resolving. But when you're looking at the task type, that really depends on what you're placing on that person. If it's a person who can do intakes, they probably can also do medical records, but not always can a person who does medical records do intakes. So when you're thinking about how to train them, think about what is it that you want on their plate when you're finding the person from a recruiting standpoint. And then when you're training them, make sure that you stay on task. Part one, don't throw too many things at VAs at once. They succeed the best, just like anyone succeeds the best, when they master one thing at a time. So for example, if you're a small firm and you want them to be an intaker and a receptionist, and you want them to know how to work your phone system to be able to send people to voicemail, and you want them to maybe send some template letters, and you want them to, you get the point. You want them to do a lot of things. First, start with the most pressing thing that you're the most behind on. Let's say that your intakes are just struggling and you need after-hour support. Start there. Make sure that they understand each script. If you're an immigration firm, your immigration script. If you're a criminal defense firm, your criminal defense script. If there's DUIs, if there's assault, very different scripts apply to an intaker. If you're a personal injury firm, make sure they understand MVA, general injury, premises, dog bite, med mal, nursing home. You get the idea. Make sure they understand each thing one at a time, and then do role plays with them if they're an intaker. Have them show you how to do that task. If you do not have them show you how to do the task, you will be disappointed with the work because they are not in a position to just figure it out. A lot of the times VAs don't have the same kind of legal experience that you're used to. So you can't expect them to just show up on day one and really get the task the way that maybe some of your other sophisticated staff would. So make sure that you have them show you how to create a questionnaire in your system, log through that script, make sure they save things with the proper protocol. If you want a medical record set to be saved in a certain way with a certain label, have them do it, record those sessions, and then create a library of each of their questions. For example, let's say that you use a program like Loom, and Loom allows for you to screen record a session where you're explaining something to them. Next time that they have that same question, or another VA that you then hire in the future has that same question, you now have a video to reference to in a bank. You can start with even as basic as a spreadsheet. How to create a party, how to start an intake, how to label medical records, how to, you get the point. And then the video is right next to that. If you have very specific training sessions that you want to record, always record them so that VAs eventually can train VAs and it doesn't all fall on your staff. Now, training is one of the most important parts. If you invest in a virtual assistant on the training side, you will have a much better experience with your virtual assistants. The more time you put into them up front, the less time you'll have to put into them over the long haul. If you don't put up time up front, you will be frustrated, you will be disappointed, because they will not just figure it out. In terms of training, your goal is to build departments that can train the future VAs. So you want to start with somebody that is really bright as a virtual assistant. Hopefully, if you're imagining your team would be 5+ VAs, you start with someone like a supervisor who can learn each task, and then the next person that joins that team, let's say that you have a medical records department, an overnight intake department, an overnight reception department, that supervisor could do both of those things, but that person's primary goal is to make sure that the people in those departments really understand what they're doing. That's how you train. Do a frequently asked questions bank. Make sure that each person really understands the task before you throw another thing on their plate, and make sure that you very well document each thing. Better than just one-off emails, put it in one consistent place. The next thing I'm going to talk about is where and how to hire virtual assistants on your own. But before I get to that, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Follow along where I will make sure that you really understand how to leverage virtual assistants for your law firm. Thanks so much.